Every day we delay raising the school standards, we lose another generation's potential. And the time is ticking. What's up, family? It's your favorite cousin Backpack, and today we are talking about raising the standard, not just for schools, but for each and every one of us individually. And today we're going to dive into a very interesting topic about what it takes to raise those standards. Let's go in our bag. First topic that I want to talk about is the looming education crisis and why the current test scores and global rankings are a red flag. One of the things that we see in scores throughout the country is the declining test scores in reading, comprehension, and math. Three important key factors that I believe that all of our students need to understand the importance of developing in these areas. One of the things that I hear a lot of times from students is that I don't know when any of this is ever going to be important. I don't know when I'm ever going to use geometry or trigonometry, or I don't know why it's important for me to have to read. Well, I ran into a young lady a few days ago, and she was coming in to my place of employment, and she was asked to fill out an intake form. And throughout the completion of the intake form, she had to stop and ask repeated questions in order to understand what certain words on the intake form meant. And because of that, it elongated the process of her completing the intake form. For every person who doesn't understand the importance of reading, comprehension, writing, and I'm not talking about just writing eloquently, I'm talking about your penmanship. It's one of the things that we don't take enough time to put into practice to develop our penmanship so that when we write, it's legible, so that when we write, people who are supposed to read what we wrote can understand what we wrote. It's important for each and every person to develop these small nuanced skills at a young age, because if we fail to develop them at a young age, it increases the difficulty of understanding those things at an older age. I mean, if you think about it, it's difficult to go into Algebra 2 if you've never understood Algebra 1. It's difficult to understand Algebra 1 if you've had difficulty comprehending pre-algebra. So what my recommendation is for students, the way that I teach is I try to take what it is they like, because one thing that I've understood about students for a very long time now is students don't care about what we want them to care about. They care about what they care about. So if this is the fact, then what we need to do is we need to be able to teach them from a lens in which they understand. This is one of the things that I go over in my training, How to Create a Winning Culture, is by teaching students from a lens that they care about, not what we want them to care about, because the generation is new and it's fresh and they don't care about what we want them to care about. They care about what they care about. So take what they love and what they care about and integrate the lessons that you desire to teach in what they care about. If you can do that, you'll see the minds of the youth start to expand. Take, for example, a YouTuber. I get a lot of students saying that they want to be a YouTuber. Okay, if you want to be a YouTuber and you want to make thousands of dollars, hundreds of thousands of dollars, even millions of dollars being a YouTuber or a streamer, you still have to know how to read, because you have to write copy. And yes, we have technology, we have AI, we have Poppy, we have Google Gemini, all of these other tools to help us write copy. Yes, that's very true. But what happens when someone hands you a script and they say, I want to sponsor this episode or this show, and you have to read a script, you have to read an ad. Now, because reading is difficult, now because you don't find comfort in reading, it's difficult for you to read the ad, and now it doesn't translate to the audience, and now the sponsor doesn't reap the benefits from said ad. So we have to be able to take what we know is important, reading and comprehension, and apply it to what we know our students like. Let's take for another example, a contract, which is a long formal document. If they're not smart enough to have a lawyer or someone who is well read and can understand the dialect in which the contract is printed in, most of them, they just won't understand what that contract is. And this is why we see a lot of people who are taken advantage of, not simply because they signed a bad deal, but even before that, they didn't understand what the bad deal was. So if we want to help to eradicate this looming education crisis, we have to be able to teach from a perspective that our students understand. The second competency in the looming education crisis is the unexpected impact of post-pandemic learning gaps. Now, this is an interesting topic because one thing that became extremely prevalent in education is the need for social emotional learning, SEL. And it was one of the things that caused me to create an SEL curriculum. And the reason for this is because I wanted to be able to take what I knew were professional skills and incorporate them into a curriculum that would help our students to develop, learn, and grow. There's obviously a gap in terms of social skills. And so when you think about social emotional learning, we're working on 5 different competencies through the CASTLE framework. That is self-awareness, self-management, social skills, relationship skills, and responsible decision making. All of these skills are skills that are advantageous for students to learn in their personal and in their professional life. And this also leads me to my third point, the growing disconnect between school skills and real world demands. The reason why I'm so focused on the development of social emotional learning, on the development of conflict resolution skills, where I talk about 3 competencies: emotional awareness, effective communication, and critical thinking and problem solving, is because these skills are used not just for your personal life, but they're also used in your professional life. In everyday activities, we see these skills need to come up. You need to be able to have emotional awareness and emotional intelligence in your work life as well as in your personal life. You need to be able to communicate effectively in your work life as well as your personal life. Skills that we need students to develop, skills that all students should develop, are skills that are interchangeable between personal life and in their professional lives. If we want to see students continue to grow, we have to help them develop in their socio-emotional learning as well as their conflict resolution skills. These are skills that are going to assist them in personal and in professional life. It reminds me of a story that I once heard about a lumberjack who was a stocky and brolic and bombastic he was a bombastic lumberjack, and he was hired to work with this older gentleman. And in working with the older gentleman, he decided to get into competition with the older gentleman, an internal competition, an intrinsic competition, not one that the older gentleman was even aware of. And he made it a point for him to cut down more trees at the end of the day than the older gentleman. And even though he was a more fit, again, more bombastic and brolic, more energy, more youthful, more lively than the older gentleman, as well as the older gentleman seemingly took several breaks throughout the day, at the end of the day, the older man still cut down more trees than the younger guy did. And the younger guy was confused. He said, "Hey man, how come you cut down more trees than I did and you took breaks?" The older gentleman looked at him and said, "It was during those breaks where I took time to sharpen my axe." Our students have to take time to sharpen their axe. A sharp instrument will grow dull after usage, and that's the reason we have to continue to take time to step back and sharpen our axe, not just for students, parents, teachers. How often are we sharpening our axe? How often are we reading? How often are we gaining knowledge? How often are we going to conferences and learning new ways to have an impact on our students? And one of the challenges that I had to face in going in to different schools and teaching students, as well as assisting educators in creating an environment that will be beneficial to students, is I've never been a teacher. I've never been in the classroom. Yes, I admit I've never been a teacher. I've never been in the classroom, but my thought process and my selling point on this was, when you break teachers down into a skeleton form, at the end of the day, they're still people. When we break students down into a skeleton form, at the end of the day, they're still students. I'm not training educators on how to be better educators. I'm training people how to engage and interact with other people. Second point that I want to talk about today is going to be beyond the test score, defining high standards. And the first subcompetency in this category is going to be moving past memorization, fostering critical thinking and problem solving. This was one of the biggest issues that I had when I was in school, was memorization. I would use memorization to remember the words or remember the answers that I knew were going to be on the test. But the moment the test was done, a lot of those things I forgot because I didn't learn how to study. This was one of the biggest things that came up over the weekend as I was doing work at a juvenile detention center. They mentioned, yes, they have an opportunity to take some college classes and get an associate's degree, but they don't know how to study. We need to teach our students how to study. That's like giving students a math problem and solving the math problem, but not showing the work and expecting them to understand how we were able to arrive at the answer. We can't just give students the answers. We have to give them a formula that works to solve this problem. I look at everything in life as one giant math problem because for me, math has always made sense. So if I take a math problem and I solve this math problem, a lot of times there's a formula that allows me to solve this particular math problem, whether it's the Pythagorean theorem, whether it's, I don't know, any of those other theorems or formulas that are, or P must, please excuse my dear Aunt Sally, parentheses, exponents, multiply, divide, add, subtract. Whatever that formula is, we got to be able to give our students a formula that will help them solve this problem of studying. One of the things that I learned about myself was I learned that I'm not a night person. I'm not a study at night person. I'm not a study in the house person. I am not a study in silence person. So that means I have to study in the morning. I have to study at a library or a coffee shop or somewhere where I see life happening and life moving, because if life is moving, that says to me in my mind that I should also be moving. And the last thing is I need to listen to some sort of music in order to keep my mind, in order to keep my attention and to keep my energy up. But I can't listen to music with words. So the reason why I can't listen to music with words is because I lose focus. And the moment that I lose focus, I start to rap the lyrics or sing the songs, and I'm doing more singing of the songs than I am actually studying. So as a result, I had to learn to listen to more lofi or lofi vibes. I'm not really sure which one it is, but I had to listen to more lofi vibe music, something that's going to keep me up, that's going to be hip hop, and that's going to be R&B, and that's going to be neo soul, and that's going to be jazz and that's going to give me the energy that I need without the words. And as a result of this, I realized that I'm able to study better and I'm able to have a more clear mind when I'm studying and when I'm trying to remember something. Not only this, one of the biggest cues that I had in studying was if I'm studying, I should study like I'm teaching it. Because if I'm teaching it to someone, the same way that I go on live and I study my words on live, on TikTok live, the reason that I do that is because if I'm teaching someone else, I learn better and I retain the information better when I'm teaching the information as opposed to when I'm just trying to learn the information. And finally, the last thing that I did in order to increase my vocabulary, I asked ChatGPT, what are some TV shows that I can watch to learn and hear GRE level words, which is the test that I have to take before I get accepted into my PhD program. What are some TV shows that I can watch that will allow me to hear these words in everyday conversation so that I can become more familiar with these words? I can recognize these words. I can pause and I can make sure that I understand the definition of these words. And they gave me several TV shows. To name a few, they gave me The Newsroom, they gave me Suits, and they gave me a show called The West Wing. Now, the interesting thing is I've seen Suits all the way through. I've seen The Newsroom all the way through twice, every single season, every single episode, and paid attention to those episodes, not just had them playing in the background. No, I actually listened to these episodes, and I never understood how many GRE level words were in these shows because it just simply wasn't important to me. The moment these words became important to me, I found 2 words in the very first episode. And I learned how to use these GRE level words in everyday conversation so that I can have more intellectual conversations and I can be more, there's more perspicuity in my writing as well. So now I'm not only learning, I'm teaching so that I can retain the information. I'm hearing the words that I know I need to learn and get better at in order to continue to study for this test in everyday conversations and everyday situations. And now these words and these things are becoming a part of my life. If you want to learn something, you've got to incorporate it into your life, and then you've got to be able to teach it. Even if you don't know it, you should still be able to teach it, because if you teach it, chances are you're more likely to learn those things. The next topic that I want to talk about is innovative solutions and paving the way forward. Leveraging AI and adaptive learning technologies for individualized instruction. One of my favorite apps, websites is ChatGPT. And I'm going to be one of the people, and no, I'm not getting paid as an ad for ChatGPT. I'm simply going to say that ChatGPT is one of the most productive ways for you to learn anything. And the reason being is because you can ask ChatGPT, and I'm going to tell you, it's better to pay for ChatGPT than to use the free option. And the reason being is because you actually get to have the conversation with ChatGPT, and ChatGPT can actually explain those things to you. So when I have a math problem that's difficult for me, I don't just take a picture of the math problem, put it in, and say, solve this math problem for me. I take a picture of the math problem, I put it in ChatGPT, and I say, explain this to me. And after it explains it to me, and it helps me to grasp and understanding after asking several more follow-up questions if I'm still confused, I can also ask ChatGPT to give me similar problems or equations to the problem that I just gave them in order to create repetition with what it is that I'm learning. We have to begin to use AI and technology to get advanced help, to get us more assistance than we even, than we're able to get with our professors or with our colleagues or with our fellow students. If you use ChatGPT, if you use Gemini, if you use Poppy, or if you use any type of technology, it's going to behoove you to use this technology in the most succinct manner possible and not take advantage of the technology, but use the technology in order to bolster your learning experience. And that's one of the things that I've been able to do, not only with math and taking pictures, but also with my writing. ChatGPT every day gives me a writing prompt, and I move, after I complete the writing prompts, I put them into ChatGPT, and ChatGPT grades me on this writing prompt based on GRE level testing. They know what GRE level testing is looking for because they're able to search the internet and find out what the oh my gosh, for lack of better words, and here I am talking about I'm supposed to be getting better at vocabulary, but they know what the GRE test is looking for because they're able to search the internet and find examples of GRE test exams, GRE writing. And with that, now I'm able to increase my learning experience. So if your student, or if you as a student are going to increase and enhance your educational experience, you're going to want to use innovative solutions, and you're going to want to use AI the proper way, not use AI as your crutch. One of my goals is I want to write like ChatGPT so that I don't have to use ChatGPT to write for me. You know how we put those emails in ChatGPT and we say, make this email stronger or make this email more convincing or more persuasive. I want to be able to write a convincing and persuasive email the first time, as opposed to asking ChatGPT to help me. The next topic that I want to talk about is going to be untangling the web, key challenges to raising the standards. Now, one of the biggest challenges that we see is teacher burnout and the evolving recruitment crisis, outdated curriculums and frameworks versus the 21st century skills. Here's the idea, and I'm sure all teachers would probably agree with me on this, though I've never been a teacher, as previously mentioned. The students today, they just different. They're just different. Life is different. They have more access, so their thinking is different, and they don't value education the way that we once did, because there's so many different ways to become successful in this world without having advanced education. Even though I still believe that advanced education is necessary in multiple different fields, I don't believe that our students understand that. And one of the reasons is because through social media and through access and the internet, they don't see the life that they desire in education being achieved through education. One of my goals in life is to show them the life that they desire and the things that they deem are cool, are skibbity, or just got some riz to it. Those things that they find enjoyable, I want to be able to show them that you can have these things and still be intellectual and still be smart. Being the smart person is no longer cool. Being the smart person is no longer cool. I mean, back in my day, it wasn't, really cool either, because they'd call you a nerd. But in today's society, we see education as something that makes you less than, and we don't see a cool factor in education. And we've had to juggle with, and I've answered this question on stage, do I go after the thing that I love, or do I go after the money? And my response to that is, you can go after the thing that you love and you can go after the money. One of the things that people told me is that there's no money in social work. I happen to be a social worker. There's no money in education. I happen to be an educator. I'm in social work and I'm in education, and I don't have to sacrifice finances in order to be in this field. I can still make hundreds of thousands of dollars. I can still become a millionaire, a successful millionaire, by being in the education field, as well as being in the social work field, as well as being someone who has a high sense of intellect. These are the things that I want to show students that's possible, because this is the life that they want to live. And I want to show them that there's more ways to live that life than being a streamer, a TikToker, rap, go to the leagues, or sell drugs. They need to know how to use what they have at their fingertips and how to take advantage of it. As it relates to teacher burnout, it's important for our teachers to take care of yourselves. We need you. You are important in this world. Yes, we know that you're underpaid. Yes, we know that a lot of you all spend your own money in enhancing the classroom experience. Hey, you've gotten this far in the video. If you want me to come in and inspire and motivate your students or your classroom, it doesn't have to be the whole school. I wouldn't mind even just coming to your classroom and giving some enlightening words to your students that will help them understand the value of education, the importance of education, and how they can get in their bag so they never have to chase a bag. The last thing is going to be finding the funding puzzle, equitable resource allocation and infrastructure. Yes, like I mentioned, a lot of teachers, they do put their own money and they ask for assistance. I think a friend of mine, he just put up a Amazon link for things that he wants for his classroom. And a lot of teachers do this and a lot of teachers get support, but a lot of teachers don't get support. You know what my dream would be? My dream would just be to my boy who's a teacher. Y'all just want to buy everything that's on your list. And I want to help you by just surprising you and buying everything on your list. I don't have the financial capabilities to be able to do that now, big dog. But one day, man, I'm going to surprise you and I'm just going to buy everything on your list. So that's going to be one of my give back things that I do for teachers. I know a lot of people do a lot of work throughout the holiday season, but I think back to school time should be a holiday season for teachers, and teachers shouldn't have to go into their own paychecks because some of them are not 12-month salary people. Some of them are 10-month salary. They shouldn't have to go into their own pockets in order to enhance and increase the learning experience, not just for their students, but for themselves, so that they can show up in the most vivid manner possible. We want our teachers to be in a good place. If they're in a good place, it's easier for them to educate and impact our students and our children in a positive manner. And finally, the last thing that I want to talk about is simply your role in education, how parents can actively advocate for higher standards and support for their children's learning. The power of the student voice, empowering learners to shape their educational journey, and a call to action, sparking a national conversation and collective effort for educational reform. Let's start off with the first one. How parents can actively advocate for higher standards and supports and educate in their children's learning. Parents, we need you to be more involved. Parents, we need you to engage more. Parents, if you don't understand something, we need you to understand technology and how you can use AI. There's no more reason that we should be coming home, our kids should be coming home and we say, I don't know how to solve this math problem, or I don't know how to solve this problem. We can easily ask ChatGPT. We can ask Google Gemini. There's no more Ask G's for us old folks who've been here for a long time. There's no more of that, but there are opportunities out there for us to get the assistance that we need now without always having to go to the teachers for help. So parents, one of the things that you can do is you can show up for your students by learning AI, learning the new innovation that is presented to us and using it the proper way. Help to make sure that our students aren't taking advantage of AI, but are using AI in a way that will aid in the growth of their mind so that they don't fall behind. AI is here. It is a technology that is going to help us advance, but it is certainly a technology that will leave many people behind if we don't learn how to take advantage of it. Let's go to the next one. The power of the student voice, empowering learners to shape their educational journey. Students, it is up to you to ensure that your educational experience is the best for you. One of the things that I did not do when I was a student is I didn't speak up much. I didn't advocate for myself much. I basically slid through school. I tried to slide under the radar and not have an impact and not cause too much ruckus. And it allowed me to stay, off the radar of the teachers and the administrative staff, but it also didn't help me with my educational experience in growing and fostering a healthy educational environment where I felt comfortable, where I felt confident. Even today, there's a lot of me that still doesn't feel 100% confident, and even taking my GRE test. But every single day, I coach and I encourage myself, and I make sure that if there's anything that I need help with, I'm advocating for my educational experience, making phone calls, sending emails, calling friends on Zoom or on FaceTime, asking them, hey, listen, man, I need you to sit down with me and help me explain this math stuff. Asking ChatGPT, hey, Chat, I need you to sit down and I need you to explain to me this problem, and asking follow-up questions. You as a student, it is your responsibility to ensure that your educational experience is positive and productive and fosters the type of life and the type of professional life that you desire to have. Lastly, a call to action sparking national conversation and a collective effort. Listen to me when I tell y'all this, y'all. Listen to me when I say this. Parents, millennials, I'm talking to us right now. If you got kids, you need to make sacrifices for that kid in order to invest in that kid's life and not so much into the life that you desire. Stop trying to play catch up with the things you weren't able to do in your younger years and neglecting your child's education, neglecting your child's social skills, neglecting your child's emotional and mental well-being because you still want to be outside, because you still want it to be a hot girl summer or a hot boy summer or whatever it might be. Millennials, it's on us. These are our kids that are out here. These are our kids that are dropping these test scores. These are our kids, and it's our responsibility to ensure that our children's educational experience is a positive one. We are parenting our kids. We are disciplining our kids. We are taking responsibility and accountability for our kids and everything that our kids go through. Be more engaged, be more active. I'm your favorite cousin, Backpack. Thank y'all for stopping by. I see you at the family reunion.